Hello viewers, welcome once again to this channel, Joe Mwai's channel, a channel that gives you insights on who you really are, not as what you've been made believe, a mere human being full of limitations, resulting in all forms of suffering, including sin, sickness, diseases, lack, poverty, and eventual death of that we call the house that houses our spirituality, our soul, our intelligence. Tonight, I want us to focus upon the two realms that I discussed about in my last video. If you watched my last video, if you haven't watched that video, you need to watch that video, my fellow listener, in order for you to catch up with the insights that I'm due to give to you in this video today. The aspect of our material sense of reality appears to be coupled with what religions calls our spirituality. And that spirituality is that which does not die when the body dies, or when that aspect of our being is separated from the body. I talked about the two realms of reality that has been presented to us, or that have been presented to us both by philosophy as well as religion. The aspect of an intelligent realm that has no limitation, that has no beginning, that has no end, and that transcends all realms of reality. And an opposite aspect of reality in the realm of a material sense, that is everything the opposite of the infinite realm of intelligence that religions call the spiritual realm. I want us today to focus upon the aspect of that infinite realm of spirituality that metaphysically we term the realm of infinite intelligence, and see whether our mind has the ability to comprehend an infinite realm of reality, or whether we shall have to adapt that kind of comprehension when the body is separated from the soul in what is commonly regarded as the death of the body of man. The infinite intelligence, if compared with the material sense of realm in what constitutes the material universe, that is said to be 13.5 billion years old, and that transcends a diameter of 94 billion light years, and that is constantly expanding at a constant rate, also regarded to as the Hubble constant, is finite still, and is the opposite of this infinite realm of intelligence. But I want us to focus upon whether we can have two realms that are totally opposite, with one realm being infinite or being considered as infinite, and the other realm as a finite realm, i.e. the material sense of reality that constitutes the material universe. It has been incomprehensible for the mind of man to come up with a solution, or with an explanation that will tend to explain how these two realms of material nature can be in existence. And in a sense, what we have been told, especially from a religious perspective, is that the infinite realm, which is the realm as commonly regarded by religions, the realm of God, a God that is omnipresence, omnipotence, as well as omniscience, a God who is infinite as well as eternal, a God who is without a beginning, without an end, is immortal as well as incorporeal. And this realm has been shown or depicted to be somewhere far, far away from the realm of a material sense of reality. But my fellow listener, don't you agree with me that if this was the case, then the emergence of the material sense of reality in the material universe, though finite, nullifies the infinitude or the infinity of the spiritual universe. The reason for that is simply because if we prod on the terminology that defines infinity, we will find that infinity implies all, without a beginning, without an end. It implies all eternity, as it implies everything in every way. And therefore, if we have a realm that is infinite, then we cannot have a realm that is finite, because there will be no space for that finite realm in the infinitude of that that has no beginning or end, that is infinite, universal realm of all intelligence. And for us to understand that, we must train our mind, or we must find a way for our mind to comprehend the reality of infinity, and not only comprehend, but to try and set our mind into that realm in order for us to be able to comprehend the realm of infinitude. And I know that the question that immediately comes to play is whether that is possible, whether our mind is able to comprehend infinity. In order for me to answer that question, and before I even answer that question, I will cite an example that I cited in my last video of the belief, or a belief that was so prevalent many hundreds of years ago, when the then astronomers, including religious leaders of the time, believed that the earth was so important to the Maker that he had placed it as the center of everything else, the center of the material universe. And these astronomers, including the religious leaders, believed that the earth, as the center of the universe, was so vital and so crucial that everything else revolved around it, including other planets, including the sun, including all the stars that permeate the entire visible universe. And it is not until the advent of an astronomer by the name of Copernicus, who observed the moons of Jupiter with the crude astronomical equipment available at the time, and realized or observed that the moons of Jupiter revolved around Jupiter, and thus came to the conclusion that the earth was not necessarily the center of the universe, and that all the planets, including all the stars as well as the sun, did not necessarily have to rotate or to revolve around the earth. However, he was afraid, as we saw in the last video, to come openly and present that theory or that postulate. And he did that. He therefore did that unanimously, without necessarily penning his paper beneath the postulate. And it is not until several hundred years later that a brave scientist by the name of Galileo Galilei came out openly and supported Copernicus' postulate. But we see the consequences of his brevity, whereby he was excommunicated from the Catholic Church and was put under house arrest for 8 years until his death as a result of claiming that the earth was not necessarily the center of the universe and that it may not hold a special place within the material universe. The issue here, or the point that I'm trying to make here, is that if these two great astronomers did not come openly or did not come up with this kind of thinking, today you can imagine where we would be, even as we have advanced so much. If we still believed that the earth was the center of the universe and that everything revolved around the earth, we would not have the kind of advancement as well as advancement in civilization that we witness all around us today. And therefore we give credence to these two great men for thinking in a different way to the common or the commonly held belief at the time that they came up with these postulates. Now, equally, we see another scientist, and he is considered the greatest scientist of the 20th century, in the name Albert Einstein. And I want to use his example specifically to show that there is a way that we can be able to use our mind, to transfer our mind into the realm of the infinite intelligence and be able to see the infinitude of that realm, and as will be seen, nullify the advent or the emergence of a material sense of reality that is totally the opposite of this spiritual realm of reality. And the reason for this, I would call it thought experiment, is simply because it beggars reason to consider two realms of reality, with one being infinite and the other one being finite. For that is infinite would therefore be sort of encompass the finite realm, or otherwise be nullified as infinite by the finite realm of reality, which consists of the material universe as we know it. Albert Einstein did a thought experiment where at the age of 16, as the story goes, he was seated by the fireside in his house, and he remembered a comic book that he had read when he was 11 years old, where the character in the comic book was racing after the speed of light. And Albert Einstein positioned himself in the place of that character in the comic book and saw himself now as a scientist running after the speed of, or racing after the speed of light, only to realize that no matter how fast he ran, the run will be receding past him as though he is frozen in time. He also came to understand that even if he raced at 99.99% the speed of light, which is 300,000 kilometers per second, light will be receding past him as though he's stationary, and that he would require an infinite amount of energy in order for him to attain the speed of light, which is impossible. Therefore, Albert Einstein concluded that light was the ultimate speed of the universe, and that nothing in the material universe can move faster than the speed of light. And this is what culminated into his famous theory, the theory of special relativity as we know it today. But before the conclusion that light was the ultimate, the speed of light was the ultimate speed of the universe, Albert Einstein did another more advanced form of thought experiment, where he now saw himself not as a character racing after the speed of light, but as a character now riding on a photon that forms the wavy particle of light. And sitting or riding on this photon, Albert Einstein concluded that everything else would be frozen in time, including time itself, in the wake of a receding light. So as far as he was concerned, as long as he is riding on this photon, everything else is frozen, including time itself. Now, from a normal perspective or point of view, we cannot imagine time frozen, because as we observe time, even as I'm observing time on this video, the second is moving constantly by the blink of my eye. So to imagine that something else will move so fast that blink of an eye or that second would take forever, would take eternity before it can click, and will not even click as long as this light is racing or receding, is something that even today a lot of our mind cannot comprehend. Yet this man, who is regarded as a giant of physics specifically, managed to do that with what appeared to be a seamless effort, or without much effort, just by using his mind to think, to see himself sitting on the wavy particle that forms a light, a particle called a photon. And I would like us to imagine that over many years after the demise of this great man, who managed to use his mind in a way never thought imaginable, and helped revolutionize the world in the manner that it has evolved today as a result of his great theory and discovery, humanity have reached a point where we have so advanced that we can consider whether we are able to put our mind in the realm of infinity in order to understand an infinite realm of intelligence. And the reason why I call this realm of intelligence infinite is because it has no beginning, it has no end. And that which has no beginning or no end must be everything, must constitute of all reality, and therefore must be infinite, must be immortal, and must be incorporeal as well. And therefore, because we have mind, and we have part of that mind in our ability to process thought, we can work with that mind and try to move into the realm of now the source of our mind, which is infinite and which is eternal, which is universal, and try to comprehend how that realm then considers a material sense of reality that is everything its opposite, as we saw in my last video. In order for us to do that, we would have to consider through our mind that infinity nullifies or must nullify the aspect of space. In the infinite realm of, say, this intelligence, that intelligence cannot be contained, cannot be held in space. It extends beyond any comprehension of space. And it's not only space, it is time as well. Because if the intelligence of or the infinite intelligence was to be conscious of itself infinitely and for eternity, then it must do so instantaneously within no time at all, in what I regard an infinite instantaneous now. That aspect of an infinite instantaneous now is made possible by consciousness. The consciousness that we saw in my last video to be the self-awareness that is made possible by our ability to process thought, enabling us to say, I think, therefore I am. And the aspect of that infinite intelligence to be conscious of itself must be conscious of itself at every infinitesimal, at the very smallest point of its infinite being. So it must be conscious of itself at every point of its infinite being. And when we understand that, when we comprehend that, then we see the aspect of space as well as time dissipate into nothingness. Because whereas we are now dealing with an infinite instantaneous now for eternity to infinity, then the need for space disappears, and where or the need for time disappears, and where time is not required, then space has no value as well. It also disappears. So this infinite universal intelligence must be conscious of itself in every way. And we know that science points us to that direction in what they regard as the superstring theory. In the superstring theory, or just let me say in the string theory, the theory shows that the smallest particle element, which is a quark, which is the building block of all matter, is made up of 3 pockets of energy, or constituting different charges of energy, but energy in its most pure form, which energy is thought to be in a form of a string, hence the name string theory. Now that energy is believed to be everywhere present, permeated everywhere present throughout all space. And it is also, or rather as energy in its most pure form, it is believed to be omnipotent, to constitute of all energy. And we all know that energy is our ability to do work. No science and nobody can be able to explain scientifically what energy is. We only know what it does. energy is the ability to do work. But this energy is said to be everywhere present, to be responsible for the smallest particle element or the building block of all matter, and to have intelligence to know which other pocket of energy. As I said, there are three pockets of energy with different charges. So it knows which other one energy knows, or pocket of energy knows what other two pockets of energy to form with in order to form all the different matter that permeates us. That is what science is telling us. And therefore, if this energy is everywhere presence, then it is omnipresence. If this energy is all powerful, it is omnipotence. And if this energy has intelligence to create, then it is omniscience. It is the all-knowingness. Now, if we then consider that the infinite realm of intelligence is infinite in this regard, is omnipresence, is all-powerful, and is all-knowing, then we can see how this relates to now the postulate or the theory by scientists on the origin of everything. And therefore, it means that everything originated, according to science, from that which is infinite, that which is eternal, and that which is immortal. But my discussion here is on our ability to focus our mind in this realm in a similar manner that Albert Einstein focused his mind on now riding after a photon of a receding light in order to see everything else frozen in time, including time itself. So when we now focus our mind into the infinite realm of this intelligence, and we become conscious of our own being at every infinitesimal point of this infinite realm of intelligence, then we, with that ability, or with that infinitude, or with that consciousness, then we eliminate and nullify the aspect of time as well as the aspect of space. And what we also do is to understand that due to our consciousness of our own being at every point of this infinite realm, we can instantaneously, within no time at all, be conscious of ourselves at any infinitesimal or infinite realm or distance without measure and in an unlimited manner. And therefore, when we become conscious of this universality of infinite intelligence, of our being as infinite intelligence in that manner, we then realize no matter what point we are conscious of ourselves as this infinite universal intelligence, then we will not come to the end or at the edges of this infinite realm. But from that perspective, the material sense of reality disappears, is obliterated into nothingness. It has no realm, it has no basis, because we are in the infinite realm. We are in that infinite realm, and we are conscious of our own infinitesimal being at every point of that infinitude. And therefore, we cannot be conscious of anything else. We are only conscious of ourselves as intelligence. I don't know whether this makes sense, but this is very deep, but it is very interesting. And it nullifies the aspect of a material sense of a finite realm. And this is the only way we can be able to understand that from an infinite universal intelligence realm, a material sense of reality does not exist. And from this infinite universal realm of intelligence, any realm of reality that is opposite, that is its opposite, which means that it's not of intelligence or spiritual nature, but is of a material nature, can only exist in an illusion. And that implies that if we are intelligent beings, then for us to be in existence in this material sense of reality that constitutes everything the opposite of the spiritual realm that is infinite, then this we must exist in this realm in a dream state of mind, a mind that has fallen to the lowest dimension of consciousness. The reason why I say that is because to focus our mind on the infinite universal intelligence that is everywhere present is to focus our mind on the highest dimension of consciousness. And the only way we are able to bring that aspect of consciousness into reality is by that focus, is by focusing upon it, is by by focusing upon it, and then we bring it to manifestation. Now, it might appear very difficult or a Helluvian task, but the reason why it appears that is because from the time of our inception, the time that we are born, we are introduced into a realm of a material nature, and all the knowledge, all the information from the time that we are a child, we grow up being fed with ideas of a material sense rather than ideas of a spiritual sense. And therefore, our mind becomes more oriented to a material sense of reality than to a spiritual realm of reality. Now, I believe that the work of man as an intelligent being is to awaken to the realization that he is a celestial being, he is a part of the infinite universal intelligence, and start the journey like the prodigal son that we read about in the Bible, heading back to his father's house. And this heading back is now our selves working towards our mental journey into the realm that has no beginning, that has no end, which constitutes as our realm, as where we belong, as where we came from. I will continue to expound upon this and to show how the mind, through the infinite power it has as a part of the infinite intelligence, and as the highest representative of this infinite intelligence, has power to create in its fallen state the realm of a material sense of reality that we believe to exist in at present in our physical bodies or with our physical bodies. So continue to watch out for these videos. At the same time, continue to support this channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with family, friends, colleagues. Also continue to write comments, ask questions, and let us all come together that we may reason out together to be able to come out with a very clear-cut understanding of who we are, not as beings with limitations, but as super beings, as celestial beings without any limitations whatsoever. For in so doing, we shall continue to awaken our mind and be able to do exploit. Thank you very much indeed. Once again, watch out for my next video. In the meantime, adios, amigo.